Greetings and welcome to a new day. It's March 23rd, Amavasya, which means new moon, Purva Bhadra Nakshatra, and we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 4. The chapter is entitled The Appearance of Sri Narada. We're gonna see how Srila Vyasadeva got instructions from his guru Narada, and we're going to hear how Narada became Narada by the mercy of the Bhakti Vedantas. First of all, I offer my respectful obeisances to my spiritual master Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotara Satasri Srimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, and also to my beloved spiritual master Shiksha Guru Nitya Lila Pravishta Ashtotara Satasri Srimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. And I especially want to offer my respects to Srila Prabhupada, who so kindly came from India in his ripe old age and started the Krishna consciousness movement. And he gave us so many beautiful books, which the Srimad Bhagavatam is one of them. So let us begin. Vyasuvacha iti bruvanam samstuya muninam dirgasatrinam vriddhakulapati sutam bhavricha shaunaka bhavit. On hearing Sutta Goswami speak thus, Shaunaka Muni, who was the elderly learned leader of all the rishis engaged in that prolonged sacrificial ceremony, congratulated Sutta Goswami by addressing him as follows. Shaunaka uvacha sutta sutta mahabhaga vadano vadatam vara katam bhagavatim punyam yad aha bhagavan shuka. Shaunaka said, O Sutta Goswami, you are the most fortunate and respected of all those who can speak and recite. Please relate the pious message of Srimad Bhagavatam, which was spoken by the great and powerful sage Shukadeva Goswami. In what period and at what place was this first begun, and why was this taken up? From where did Krishna Dvaipayan Vyas, the great sage, get the inspiration to compile this literature? His, Vyasadeva's son, was a great devotee, an equibalanced monist, whose mind was always concentrated on monism. He was transcendental to mundane activities, but being unexposed, he appeared like an ignorant person. We were talking about Srila Shukadeva Goswami. While Sri Vyasadeva was following his son, beautiful young damsels who were bathing naked covered their bodies with cloth. Although Sri Vyasadeva himself was not naked. I'm going to read that again. While Sri Vyasadeva was following his son, beautiful young damsels who were bathing naked covered their bodies with cloth, although Sri Vyasadeva himself was not naked. But they had not done so when his son had passed. The sage inquired about this, and the young ladies replied that his son was purified, and when looking at them made no distinction between male and female. But the sage made such distinctions. How was he, Srila Shukadeva, the son of Vyas, recognized by the citizens when he entered the city of Hastinapur, now Delhi, after wandering in the province of Kuru and Jangala, appearing like a madman, dumb and retarded? How did it so happen that King Parikshit met this great sage, making it possible for this great transcendental essence of the Vedas, Srimad Bhagavatam, to be sung to him? He, Shukadeva Goswami, was accustomed to stay at the door of a householder only long enough for a cow to be milked. And he did this just to sanctify the residence. It is said that Maharaj Parikshit is a great first-class devotee of the Lord, and that his birth and activities are all wonderful. Please tell us about him. He was a great emperor and possessed all the opulences of his acquired kingdom. He was so exalted that he was increasing the prestige of the Pandu dynasty. Why did he give up everything to sit down on the bank of the Ganges and fast until death? He was such a great emperor that all his enemies would come and bow down at his feet and surrender all their wealth for their own benefit. He was full of youth and strength, and he possessed insuperable kingly opulences. Why did he want to give up everything, including his life? Those who are devoted to the cause of the personality of Godhead live only for the welfare, development, and happiness of others. They do not live for any selfish interest. So even though the Emperor Parikshit was free from all attachment to worldly possessions, how could he give up his mortal body, which was shelter for others? We know that you are expert in the meaning of all subjects, except some portions of the Vedas, and thus you can clearly explain the answers to all the questions we have just put to you. Sutta Goswami said, when the second millennium overlapped the third, the great sage Vyasadeva was born to Parashara in the womb of Satyavati, the daughter of Vasu. Once upon a time, he, Vyasadeva, as the sun rose, took his morning ablution in the waters of the Saraswati and sat alone to concentrate. The great sage Vyasadeva saw anomalies in the duties of the millennium. This happens on the earth in different ages due to unseen forces in the course of time. The great sage, who was fully equipped in knowledge, could see through his transcendental vision the deterioration of everything material due to the influence of the ages. He could also see that the faithless people in general would be reduced in duration of life and would be impatient due to lack of goodness. Thus he contemplated for the welfare of men. He contemplated for the welfare of all, in all statuses and orders of life. He saw that the sacrifices mentioned in the Vedas were means by which the people's occupations could be purified. And to simplify the process, he divided the one Veda into 4 in order to expand them among men. The 4 divisions of the original sources of knowledge, the Vedas, were made separately. But the historical facts and authentic stories mentioned in the Puranas are called the 5th Veda. After the Vedas were divided into 4 divisions, Paila Rishi became the professor of the Rig Veda, Jaimini the professor of the Sama Veda, and Vaishampayan alone became glorified by the Yajur Veda. The Sumantu Muni Angira, who was very devotedly engaged, was entrusted with the Atharva Veda, and my father, Romaharshana, was entrusted with the Puranas and historical records. All these learned scholars, in their turn, rendered their entrusted Vedas unto their many disciples, grand disciples, and great grand disciples. And thus the respective branches of the followers of the Vedas came into being. Thus the great sage Vyasadeva, who was very kind to the ignorant masses, edited the Vedas so they might be assimilated by less intelligent people. Out of compassion, the great sage thought it wise that this world enable people to achieve the ultimate goal of life. Thus, he compiled the great historical narration called the Mahabharata for women, laborers, and friends of the twice-born. O twice-born Brahmanas, still his mind was not satisfied, although he engaged himself in working for the total welfare of all people. Thus the sage, being dissatisfied at heart, at once began to reflect, because he knew the essence of religion, and he said within himself, I have, under strict disciplinary vows, unpretentiously worshipped the Vedas, the spiritual master, and the altar of sacrifice. I have also abided by the rulings and have shown the import of disciplic succession through the explanation of the Mahabharata, by which even women, Shudras, and others, friends of the twice-born, can see the path of religion. I am feeling incomplete, though I myself am fully equipped with everything required by the Vedas. This may be because I did not specifically point out the devotional service of the Lord, which is dear both to perfected beings and to the infallible Lord. As mentioned before, Narada reached the cottage of Krishna Dvaipayan Vyas on the banks of the Saraswati, just as Vyasadeva was regretting his defects. They say that when we're ready, the spiritual master comes to us. So here Srila Vyasadeva was feeling despondent. Even though he compiled all the Vedic literatures, he was still feeling something's not right. And just then Sri Narada Muni, the great sage, comes to explain to him why. At the auspicious arrival of Sri Narada, Sri Vyasadeva got up respectfully and worshipped him, giving him veneration equal to that given to Brahmaji, the Creator. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of the first canto, 4th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Appearance of Sri Narada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Ram Hare Hare. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.